Did Crusaders ever form an alliance with Mongols against any of their various Saracen enemies? In today's video, we'll answer that question. In the 13th century, the Mongols conquered much of the heart of the Muslim world, capturing Persia, Mesopotamia, and Anatolia. It's no wonder that many in Latin Christendom contemplated joint operations between Western Europeans and Mongols against Saracen powers. Saint Louis IX of France spent the early 1250s in the Crusader states in Outremer, where he acted as de facto ruler and improved the castles and military establishment. During this time, Louis opened negotiations with the Great Khan, ruler of the Mongol Empire. Louis proposed a joint alliance between the Khan and himself, with the Muslim powers of Syria and Egypt as their targets. Louis expressed the spiritual ideals of Crusade to the Great Khan, but these concepts were basically unintelligible to the Mongols, who fought not for religious ideals, but for sheer power. The Mongols' ultimate goal was in fact total world conquest. The Khan viewed King Louis as a petty chieftain, ruler of a small kingdom that should ultimately be subsumed into the Mongol Empire. In his reply to Louis, the Khan had the nerve to demand that Louis surrender France and send an annual tribute to the Mongols. Louis, of course, scoffed at such an absurd proposal, and the negotiations went nowhere. However, Christian Armenia and Antioch did offer tribute to the Khan, and under the Mongol general Kitpukha, an historian Christian, joined in an invasion of Syria. In another video, we'll discuss this episode in more detail, since it demands its own full treatment. In 1271, Prince Edward of England arrived in Acre at the head of a small force of some 1,000 troops, thus beginning the minor campaign known as the Ninth Crusade. Edward, in considering his options against the Mamluks, sent an embassy to the Mongol ruler of Persia, Möngke Khan. Möngke responded quite positively to Edward's request. After talking over the matter, we have on our account resolved to send to your aid Samagar at the head of a mighty force. Thus, when you discuss among yourselves the other plans involving the aforementioned Samagar, be sure to make explicit arrangements as to the exact month and day on which you will engage the enemy. Edward led a raid on the Mamluk-held town Kakun, while the Mongols devastated the lands around Aleppo. However, internal troubles within the Mongol state drew Möngke's attention away from the Mamluk territory, and his troops withdrew. Edward never had the numbers to launch a major campaign against the massive forces of the Mamluk Sultanate, but his efforts did result in a 10-year peace treaty between the Crusader states and the Mamluks. Ultimately, what we just discussed represents the bulk of what could be described as a Crusader-Mongol alliance. Back in Latin Christendom, some theorists discussing possible strategies for future crusades would continue to entertain the idea of a joint effort by the Mongol and Latin Christian worlds, but such planning never resulted in any substantial military enterprise.
All for waltz against America. Let me guess.